Solo Leveling's Antares destroyed cities, but he never made you question whether you'd have made the same choice he did. That's the difference between a villain written to be feared and one written to be understood. Murim Manhwa has been sitting in Solo Leveling's shadow for years, and most people sleep on it because they assume it's just cultivation tropes and power rankings. But buried inside the Murim genre is a villain architecture so structurally sophisticated, so philosophically loaded, that it exposes exactly why Solo Leveling's antagonists, despite looking incredible, are emotionally hollow. By the end of this video, you're going to see manhwa villains completely differently, and you might walk away respecting a character you were supposed to hate. Stay with me, because the turn I'm about to make at the 12-minute mark will reframe everything you thought this genre was about. The problem with Solo Leveling's villains. Let's be precise about what Solo Leveling does well and where it deliberately doesn't try. Sung Jin-woo's world is built on spectacle. The Shadow Monarch, the Monarchs, Antares. These are operatic threats, massive, visually stunning, existentially dangerous. But ask yourself, what does Antares want? Destruction. Why? Because his nature compels him. That's not a villain. That's a natural disaster with a face. Choi Jong-in, the S-rank hunter who opposes Jin-woo. He exists to create friction and then yield. Thomas Andre? He's arrogance that learns a lesson. The Japanese Association leadership, pure political convenience. Solo Leveling isn't interested in moral complexity because it doesn't need to be. It's a power fantasy, one of the most perfectly executed in manhwa history. But its villains are set pieces, obstacles, not people. Now, contrast that with what Murim does. What Murim villain architecture actually is. Murim Manhwa inherits something from classical Chinese and Korean literary tradition that isekai and dungeon crawler genres mostly abandoned, the idea that the villain is a mirror. In Confucian-influenced storytelling, which bleeds directly into Murim's DNA, the antagonist doesn't just threaten the hero physically. They threaten the hero's worldview. They represent a path the protagonist could have walked. This is called narrative foil architecture, but Murim takes it further. The great Murim villains don't just oppose the hero. They complete the philosophical argument the story is making. Let me show you what I mean with a specific example. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because the villain I'm about to break down, his argument is correct, at least partially, and the author knows it. Goomoonryong, the Nine Arts Dragon, Chun-Woo Han. Depending on where you enter the breaker, he is either the most dangerous man in the Murim world or the most tragic. On the surface, unstable, violent, willing to destroy anyone who threatens him or those he claims to protect. The Murim world calls him a villain. The SIPA hunts him. The Sun-Woo clan fears him. But let's apply a literature professor's lens, not a fan's, and ask, what is Chun-Woo Han actually doing in the narrative? He's testing a thesis. His entire arc is a philosophical experiment. Can someone born into a corrupt system, trained by that system, broken by that system, can that person remain human? The Murim world didn't make Chun-Woo evil. It made him rational. Every act of violence he commits follows a logic. Every moment of apparent cruelty has a preceding betrayal. He doesn't kill arbitrarily, he responds. Now compare that to Antares, who destroys because destruction is his essence. Chun-Woo destroys because people kept giving him reasons to. That's not a monster. That's a trauma response with martial arts. Here's what most viewers miss, and this is the part that separates a reader from an analyst. The breaker positions Shi-Woon, the student, as the hero. But structurally, Chun-Woo is the protagonist. The story is his tragedy, filtered through Shi-Woon's witnessing. Shi-Woon doesn't grow because he's talented. He grows because he's watching what Chun-Woo becomes when there's no one left to protect and deciding, I refuse to become that. The villain is the protagonist's future. The hero is a correction. That is sophisticated narrative architecture, and Solo Leveling, by design, never attempts it. The class and power layer. Now we go deeper. Because Murim villains aren't just philosophically complex, they're sociologically loaded. The Murim world is a strict hierarchy. Old clans hold power. New practitioners are kept subordinate. Secret techniques are gatekept by bloodline. Sound familiar? It should. It's a direct artistic encoding of Korea's Chaebol system, where wealth, family name, and institutional connection determine your ceiling before you've thrown a single punch. The villains in Murim aren't just strong. They're structural. They represent the system itself fighting to preserve itself. When Chun-Woo, a man of ambiguous origin, no prestigious clan, no political backing, becomes the most dangerous person in the world, the institution doesn't celebrate it. It tries to eliminate him. The villain isn't the man. The villain is the machine that made him and then rejected him when he became inconvenient. Solo Leveling doesn't have this layer. Jin-Woo is celebrated by his system. The manhwa is aspirational. Murim, at its best, is critical. But here's the question the best Murim writers leave unanswered, and it's the one that will stick with you after this video ends. The unanswerable question. If the system is corrupt, and Murim consistently argues it is, then the villain who burns it down is doing something necessary. But they're also causing suffering to people who never chose to be part of that system. The great Murim villains sit in this exact tension. They're not wrong about the diagnosis. They're wrong, or at least catastrophically costly, in the prescription. And the author never fully resolves it, because it can't be resolved. That's the point. This is what literary scholars call a tragic structure. Not tragedy as in sad ending, but tragedy in the Aristotelian sense, a figure of genuine virtue, undone by a flaw that is inseparable from their virtue. Chun-Woo's protectiveness is what makes him extraordinary. It's also what makes him devastate everyone around him. You cannot have one without the other. Solo Leveling gives you a hero who wins. Murim gives you a question you can't stop thinking about. Which one do you think is harder to write? Because Murim is slower. It demands patience. It rewards rereading. Solo Leveling was engineered for momentum. Every chapter ends on a dopamine hit. Murim chapters often end on ambiguity. A look, a silence, a choice left unmade. In the attention economy, ambiguity loses to spectacle. Every time. But the readers who do find Murim, they don't leave. Because once you've read a villain who makes you question your own moral framework, Antares just feels like a very impressive screensaver. Here's what I want you to take from this. Solo Leveling's villains are designed, optimized, visually iconic, functionally efficient. Murim's best villains are written, contradictory, uncomfortable, human. The difference isn't quality. Solo Leveling is a masterpiece of what it's trying to do. The difference is ambition. Murim asked, what does it cost a person to survive a corrupt world? And it made the answer walk around and fight people. That's villain architecture, not power levels, not a cool design, a thesis with a heartbeat. If you've never given Murim a serious read, not a skim, a read, start after this video. The genre will surprise you. And if you want me to go deeper on any specific manhwa, any specific villain, drop it in the comments. I read everyone. I'm Manhwa Dissected. See you in the next one.